Today, we are looking at chronic fatigue syndrome symptoms and proven ways to beat CFS causes. Right now, chances are you're exhausted. Not only are you tired, but you're deeply, profoundly exhausted in a way that most people can't comprehend. Maybe you've been to doctor after doctor, and they keep telling you, everything looks normal. Maybe you've tried every supplement, every diet, every treatment protocol you could find online, and you're still stuck. I get it. Thousands of people have been in your shoes and recovered from chronic fatigue syndrome, long-term COVID, and fibromyalgia. Here's what I know for certain. You can recover. But you need to stop doing what hasn't been working for you and start following a proven step-by-step process that actually addresses the root cause. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact 7-step recovery roadmap that's helped thousands of people go from bedridden to living full, active lives again. So if you're ready to finally start getting better, stay with me until the end. And hey, if you find this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button because it helps more people find this information. Okay, let's dive in. Step 1. Stop searching for a medical cure. Step number 1 might surprise you. You need to stop looking for a medical cure. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying you shouldn't see doctors or get proper testing done. That's important to rule out other conditions. But here's the harsh truth most people don't want to hear. The medical system is not set up to help you recover from CFS. Why? Because chronic fatigue syndrome isn't a disease that can be cured with a pill or a procedure. There's no medication that's going to magically restore your energy. There's no supplement on its own that's going to fix your nervous system. Many people who are where you are right now have spent tens of thousands of dollars going from specialist to specialist, trying every treatment under the sun. Thyroid protocols, hormone replacement, antiviral medications, immune modulators, you name it, they've tried it. And while some of these things might help with specific symptoms, they don't address the root cause of why you're stuck in this chronic fatigue state. Here's what's actually happening. Your nervous system is stuck in a chronic state of survival mode. Your body thinks it's in danger, even when you're just lying in bed. And until you address that nervous system dysregulation, no amount of medical intervention is going to get you out of this. So step 1 is about shifting your mindset. Recovery isn't going to come from the outside, from a doctor or a pill. It's going to come from the inside, from retraining your nervous system and giving your body what it actually needs to heal. And that brings us to step 2. Step 2. Understand that recovery is a rehabilitation process. Think about someone who breaks their leg. They get a cast, the bone heals, but then what? They don't just jump up and run a marathon, right? They go through physical therapy. They rebuild strength gradually. They work with their body's natural healing timeline. That's rehabilitation. And CFS recovery works the same way. Your body isn't broken beyond repair, but it is deconditioned, dysregulated, and stuck in protective patterns that are now doing more harm than good. The mistake most people make is they treat CFS like an acute illness, like the flu or a broken bone. They rest, they wait to feel better, and then they try to jump back into normal life. And what happens? They crash. Hard. And then they're back to square one, feeling even more frustrated and hopeless than before. This is what I call the push-crash cycle, and it's the number one thing keeping people stuck for years or even decades. Recovery is not about waiting until you feel good and then doing things. It's about actively rebuilding your capacity, even when you don't feel good yet. Just like that person with the broken leg needs to do exercises that feel uncomfortable at first. You need to work with your nervous system in ways that might feel challenging, but not overwhelming. This is the difference between people who recover and people who stay stuck for years. The ones who recover understand that they need to actively participate in their healing, not just passively wait for it to happen. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I can't do anything without crashing. How am I supposed to rebuild capacity? That's where step 3 comes in. Step 3. Establish your baseline. Your baseline is the amount of activity you can do consistently without triggering a crash. And here's the key word, consistently. Most people don't actually know their true baseline. They operate on what I call good day energy, meaning they do activities based on how they feel in the moment, not on what they can sustain day after day. So they'll have a good day, do a bunch of stuff, and then crash for 3 days. Then they recover a bit, have another good day, do too much again, and crash again. Sound familiar? The first step in real recovery is to find your true baseline, the amount of activity you can do 7 days a week without any crashes. And yes, that might be much less than what you want to do. It might even be less than what you used to do before you got sick. But here's the thing. You can't build a house on a shaky foundation. Once you establish a solid baseline, even if it feels ridiculously small, that's when you can start building up. That's when progress becomes possible. Here's how to find your baseline in 4 easy steps. 1. Track your activities for 1 week. Write down everything you do and how you feel afterward. 2. Identify the maximum amount you can do without crashing. This might be 10 minutes of walking, or 20 minutes of computer work, or even just taking a shower. 3. Reduce that by 30%. Yes, really. This gives you a buffer and ensures you're working with genuine energy, not adrenaline. 4. Stick to that level for at least 2 weeks. Consistency is everything here. I call this the 70% rule, and it's one of the most powerful tools in recovery. Because when you operate at 70% of your maximum capacity, you give your nervous system space to heal instead of constantly pushing it into survival mode. Now, I know this feels frustrating. You want to do more. You have things you need to do. But trust me on this. Every single person who rushed this step ended up taking longer to recover. The people who were patient with this process, they're the ones who are now living normal lives again. Which brings us to step 4. Step 4. Calm your nervous system. Remember how I said your nervous system is stuck in survival mode? This is where we start to fix that. Your autonomic nervous system has 2 branches. The sympathetic, fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, rest and digest. Here are the 3 most powerful tools I teach. 1. Vagal toning exercises. The vagus nerve serves as the primary pathway for your parasympathetic nervous system. Simple exercises like humming, gargling, or cold water exposure can help activate it and signal safety to your body. 2. Somatic practices. This isn't about exercise. It's about reconnecting with your body in gentle ways, stretching, shaking, and gentle movement to release stored stress and tension. 3. Breathing work. Not just any breathing, but specific patterns that activate the parasympathetic response. My favorite is 4-7-8 breathing. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. Now, here's what you need to understand. These practices work, but they don't work instantly. You're retraining a nervous system that has spent months or years in survival mode. Think of it like this. If you wanted to learn piano, you wouldn't expect to play Beethoven after 1 practice session, right? Same thing here. You're building a skill, the skill of nervous system regulation. Do these practices daily, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't see immediate results. That's how you create lasting change. And speaking of lasting change, that brings us to step 5. Step 5. Address the emotional and psychological factors. Okay, this is where some people get defensive, so let me say this clearly. CFS is not all in your head. Your symptoms are real. Your suffering is real. But, and this is a big but, your emotional state and your nervous system are deeply connected. You can't separate them. Almost everyone with chronic fatigue has some combination of the following: unprocessed trauma with a big T or little t, chronic stress or perfectionism, people-pleasing patterns, difficulty setting boundaries, suppressed emotions. These aren't just personality traits, they're nervous system patterns that keep your body stuck in threat mode. Think about it. If you're constantly worried about disappointing people, your nervous system is on high alert. If you're pushing through exhaustion to meet everyone else's needs, you're training your body that it's not safe to rest. This doesn't mean you caused your CFS, but it does mean that changing these patterns is part of recovery. Some of the most powerful work in recovery isn't about supplements or exercise. It's about learning to say no without guilt, processing emotions instead of suppressing them, challenging perfectionist thinking, building self-compassion. I know this might sound like woo-woo stuff, but I've seen people make more progress from therapy or coaching than from any medical treatment. Your body is trying to protect you, and sometimes the protection comes from old patterns that no longer serve you. When you address those patterns, your nervous system can finally relax. All right, let's move on to Step 6. Step 6, gradually expand your capacity. Once you've established your baseline, calmed your nervous system, and started addressing emotional factors, now you can start building back up. But, and this is crucial, you do it gradually. Think of your energy like a bank account. For months or years, you've bebossed in an overdraft. Now you need to rebuild your savings. Every time you do an activity, you're making a withdrawal. Rest, nervous system work, and good sleep are deposits. You need more deposits than withdrawals until your account is healthy again. Here's how to expand capacity safely. 1. Increase by no more than 10% per week. If you can walk for 10 minutes without crashing, try 11 minutes next week. Not 20, not 15. 11. 2. Add one new activity at a time. Don't increase your walking, add strength training, and start working more all at once. Just change one variable. Stabilize. For a week or two. Then add the next. 3. Expect setbacks. They're normal. Your progress won't be linear. You'll have good weeks and tough weeks. That's part of the process. Don't panic when you have a setback. 4. Listen to your body, not your mind. Your mind wants to push. Your body needs patience. Trust the process. Real recovery looks messy. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But over months, you'll see improvement. There are those who have gone from being bedbound to running marathons. They have transitioned from being unable to work to having full careers. They have transitioned from believing they would never lead a normal life to experiencing complete freedom from symptoms. But every single one of them had to go through this gradual building phase. There are no shortcuts. The good news? Once you rebuild your capacity the right way, it tends to stick. You're not just covering up symptoms, you're actually healing the root dysfunction. Which brings us to our final step. Step 7. Reintegrate into life. The final step of recovery is often overlooked, but it's crucial. You need to intentionally reintegrate into the life you want to live. For most people with CFS, your world has gotten smaller. You've pulled back from work, from friends, from hobbies, from everything that used to bring you joy. And even as you start feeling better, there's often fear. What if I push too hard? What if I crash again? What if I can't handle it? That fear is understandable, but if you let it control you, you'll stay in a holding pattern forever. Recovery isn't just about reducing symptoms, it's about reclaiming your life. Here's how to do it safely. 1. Start with what matters most to you. Don't try to do everything at once. Pick 1 or 2 things that would genuinely improve your quality of life. Maybe that's going back to work part-time. Maybe it's socializing with friends. Maybe it's a hobby you love. 2. Approach it like an experiment. You're not committing forever. You're testing. Can I handle 2 hours of work? Can I go to dinner with friends? Try it. See how you do. Adjust as needed. 3. Build in recovery time. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it every day. Give yourself space to rest and integrate. 4. Trust that you're stronger than you think. By the time you get to this stage, you've done the hard work. Your nervous system is more regulated. Your baseline is solid. You can handle more than you think. The people who fully recover are the ones who push through the fear and start living again. Not recklessly, but courageously. You deserve to have a life that feels full and meaningful. Don't settle for just managing symptoms. Go for full recovery. All right, so those are the 7 steps. 1. Stop searching for a medical cure. 2. Understand recovery is rehabilitation. 3. Establish your baseline. 4. Calm your nervous system. 5. Address emotional and psychological factors. 6. Gradually expand capacity. 7. Reintegrate into life. Now, I know this might feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, I don't even know where to start. That's normal. That's why I've created a resource to help you.